Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mental Game Podcast. This is episode 6. I got a special episode for you all today. This is going to be covering the 2020 NBA draft. I got my guy here, Eytan. Eytan, say what's up.
Yo, Eytan Pomper from Boston, Massachusetts. 4 years varsity basketball. In Israel now in the gap year. Ready to discuss some ball.
Yeah, what's up, my brother?
It's going well. I'm loving it so far. I'm excited for the draft coming up. We've got a lot of exciting players. A lot of exciting players.
I agree. A lot of people say this is a bad draft, but I think it's just not top heavy, but I think it's pretty deep.
Yeah, I think there aren't many clear-cut stars, but there are definitely some potential stars that can come out of this draft.
Okay, so I want to cover who do you think is going to be a star out of this draft? I mean, there are the obvious picks, but we can still state them.
I would say definitely an obvious star coming in this draft is LaMelo Ball. I think he's pretty much going to go number one in the Timberwolves right now. I just think his offensive abilities all around, his playmaking, passing, shooting, dribbling, his court visions, he has everything. He has the whole package. Once he gets his defense a little more, I think he's an all-around player. He can definitely be an all-star in this league.
100%. It's something that I really like about him is that he's very composed and he likes the spotlight, kind of like his brother, to be honest.
I 100% agree. I think one thing that might get in his way, I think it's a very, very slim thing, but something that NBA could definitely help him is with his maturity. I think he might be still a little bit immature, but so that's one thing I think he can still improve on.
I mean, he's a special player. I mean, if you're a 6'8" point guard, you're shifty, you got a handle, you got a court vision, you got range. The only problem I have with him is that the shot release is weird, just like his brother. So it worries me that it won't translate.
It worries me, but the thing is, he'll definitely be able to get it off considering his height. So I think that won't be an issue. His brother's a little shorter than him, so.
Yeah, for sure. Also, he struggled shooting some games when he was in Australia. I think he shot like 25% from three, but there are games where he shot it really well, but there are games where he shot it really bad. So he just needs to work on his consistency, but that's like the only thing he's missing.
I think it'll take a little time for him to develop into an NBA player. Like the struggles may like the growing pains might take a little while, but I think he'll definitely get there.
He reminds me a lot of Penny Hardaway.
I know, I definitely see that. I like it's a great comparison. Great comparison.
Just lacks the Penny Hardaway athleticism, but he's like he has the shiftiness and he has more of a jumper than Penny anyways. So similar size, great
100% agree.
passer.
Who else do you see coming out of this draft as a potential star?
I know a lot of people are trying to knock him because he's very cocky and supposedly not a hard worker, but it's really hard for me to say Anthony Edwards is going to be a bust. If he's a bust, you know what? I'll just take my hit, but it's so hard for me to see it.
You know, I was watching his highlights. From what I see, he's a 3-level scorer. He can do everything. He's athletic. He's like solid, he's strong. So I just don't see it. I don't really see him as a bust. I see him being able to do every type of thing.
The only thing he's lacking in my eyes is his post-up game because as a big guard, I mean, he's only 6'5", but as a big guard, like he's bulky. He's about 220. I think a post-up game is necessary.
I don't think it's there, but I think he can definitely develop. Also, something I love is first he's a very quick release. He gets out very easily. He can definitely get a shot.
Who does he remind you of? I have an obvious player who he reminds me of.
I see a little bit of type of Devin Booker in him. What about you?
Really? I see Donovan Mitchell.
I definitely see Donovan Mitchell. I think he's a little bit stronger than both those players, but I think his skill set's very similar to both those players.
I think Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker are pretty similar players. I just think Devin Booker, honestly, is just a more consistent shooter, and he's taller.
I think with Anthony Edwards' strength, he can definitely. I think he can actually surpass both of those players in their ability.
That is possible, but I'm really high on Devin Booker, so we'll see. Devin Booker is different.
100%.
I also think I know it's really obvious, but I think James. Well, in the beginning I didn't think so, but I think James Wiseman will be a star. I did say in the beginning when I watched him like a while ago, I thought he was going to be more like a Mitchell Robinson, DeAndre Jordan type player. And that's his floor. If he does not work, does not develop anything, that's his floor as a rim runner, lob, block shots guy. That's not going to go. But I really think he can be a David Robinson type player.
I definitely see. I think one thing he has going for him definitely is he's not a stiff. He can definitely move around
Oh yeah.
and he can get around. And I think he can definitely be. I like the David Robinson to call. He can definitely. He has a little mid-range shot, which I've seen a couple times, so that can be good. I've seen it out of him. I think he's definitely still a little raw, is what I see.
I mean, if he stays raw, he's gonna become a starting center in this league for a while, like a DeAndre Jordan. But he already has more skill than DeAndre Jordan. So if he continues working, the sky's the limit.
I think he's definitely more athletic than DeAndre Jordan. I think he'll definitely be better than DeAndre Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Are there any more players that you think are going to be stars out of this draft?
One more that I had that I found I was thinking of is Obi Toppin. You know, coming out of high school, he wasn't highly recruited, but I think he really developed himself in college. Very athletic player. I've seen his post-up games very strong. He's a good defender. And he has a very high ceiling. He's also a very raw talent. Very raw talent.
Obi Toppin is one of those players that is tricky for me because he could either be a splash or a bust. There's not going to be an in-between for him. He does not have ball handling skills at all, so I don't think he's going to be good on the perimeter. And he's not a great defender, and he's undersized for the 4 position at around 6'8", 6'9". He's a little older. He's about 22. He's as old as Jason Tatum right now. And he's a tweener. He's not sure if he's a 3 or a 4. So, but he's so strong and powerful. He can shoot it pretty well. I'd like to see if the range can translate to the league. And because most of his shots usually come from on the line in college. You know, he's a great dunker, and he's going to bring in crowds. And he has a good motor. But he could be a star like an Amari Stoudemire, or he can be just a show-off guy like an Aaron Gordon.
That's what I was about to say. I think he's very high ceiling, but he also could be a bust. So there's high potential, but there's high risk there also.
Just because he's older, I would honestly say bust. But that's just me personally.
That's very interesting, considering we've had some recent draft picks that have been older type players who've done well. So like Donovan Mitchell was drafted a little later on in college career, but so I don't think that's a big thing. I don't think teams should be. Obviously, I think it's a minor factor, but it's definitely something to look out for.
It's just that sometimes, like, you look at this stuff. Remember when the Lakers had Kuzma and Ingram, and everyone thought Kuzma was better?
Yeah, 100%.
But Kuzma hit his ceiling at the same age Toppin is in right now. Kuzma hit his ceiling, and Kuzma is not going to get better as a player, and I firmly believe that. But Ingram is only scratching the surface because he's only 22 and Kuzma is 26 now.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting connection. That's very interesting.
I know it's. I'm gonna take some heat for that take, but that's what I think.
That's all I have for big stars.
Yeah,
do
same.
you have anything else?
No, I don't. Let's go to sleepers. Who do you think is a sleeper in this draft?
So I think one of my sleepers he's definitely a top 10 pick right now, but I think one of my sleepers is Isaac Okoro.
Oh yeah,
the Auburn product. When I was watching him a little bit, I saw a little bit of younger Jaylen Brown. He's a great defender, and he showed some spurts of offense. If he can develop that offense like Jaylen Brown did, look at Jaylen Brown now. He's an all-star now.
You know who?
An all-star, so I definitely see in him.
Jaylen Brown, I feel like, is such a good offensive player that Okoro is so Jaylen Brown is so smooth to the point where it's hard for me to see Okoro becoming like him. But he reminds me of someone who did really good this season and is not a smooth offensive player. Moves just like him, Jimmy Butler.
No, I don't think his defense can be as good as Jimmy Butler's, obviously.
You don't think so?
I see Jimmy Butler. I don't see that. I see a core of a more athletic. I see him more athletic.
So you think he's only going to be a good defensive player, or is he going to develop his offensive ability?
I think he'll definitely be able to develop his offensive ability. Cause I definitely saw spurts of it. So I think he has the potential to be the best player in the draft for sure.
I think he's if he goes to a team where he does not have a go-to scorer on, he will flourish because they will develop him to be that. But if he's put on a team that is sort of a contender already, his growth will be stunted and people will think he's a bust.
Well, one of the latest mock drafts I saw him going to Pistons, so I think it'd be a great fit.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Definitely be the player on that team and lead them.
I also have another player that not a lot of people know about. He's a late first round pick, Tyrell Terry. I mean, he from Stanford. This dude is, in my opinion, the second best shooter in the draft after Aaron Nesmith. He's a 6'2" point guard, I think. He cannot really jump. He's not quick. His handle is only like sizable. Like it's not going to be like oohs and ahs when he dribbles, but he can get his shot off. I feel like almost against anyone. He knows how to work the off-ball screens well, and dude, he just. I mean, if he develops his handle, honestly, I tried to ignore it when I was watching it, but it looked like Stephen Curry to me. And
That's a very bold statement to make. That's
I'm
a
not
very
saying
bold
he's going to
statement.
be as good as him. I'm saying the way he plays is very, very similar to Stephen Curry. The way he uses his body in the lane, even though he's not extremely athletic, and the way he's able to work on the ball and off the ball, I think he can be a combo guard. So I think his floor is a Lou Williams, and his ceiling is very high, and people are gonna be surprised why he slid so far.
That's a very good floor. That's a very good floor.
I think he's gonna be disgustingly good.
That's
I'm
interesting. I
very
got
high on him.
a different guy I have. I saw the big man from USC. I got Onyeka Ogonku. I saw he was a very athletic big man. I saw his athletic, his block shots. He's great down low. He reminded me a lot of like a Montrezl Harrell, Bam Adebayo type player.
I saw
Very
Bam. I
energetic,
see Bam. Yeah.
very energetic player. Very strong guy. It's all around great.
Bam is the ceiling, but you know what I saw as the floor for him?
What'd you see?
Tristan Thompson.
No, I think Tristan Thompson's more. He's too much of a stiff, less athletic. I think Ogonku is definitely more athletic.
So you think more like a Harrell? You think he's gonna?
I
I
see. I
don't.
see more. I see more of a Harold Bam type player.
The thing that does scare me about him is that in terms of an offensive like ability, he literally possesses nothing. His IQ
Oh,
is extremely high, but Harrell and Bam both have offensive skill.
I think it's going to come down to if he goes to the right team or not. I think if he goes to a team that doesn't really need a score, he can definitely serve a great purpose on that team.
Yeah, if he develops a post game, I'd like it a lot. Right now, he only has that hook he goes to, from what I've seen, but there's nothing else he does, and I don't think he can even shoot a mid range right now. So I'd like to see him develop that.
You have any other sleepers that you're thinking of?
Yes, for me, I have two more. I have Aaron Nesmith that I really like. I think he's the best shooter in this draft, hands down. Shot 52% from three in Vanderbilt and averaged 24 a game. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. I mean, I've seen a lot of Buddy Hield comparisons for him. I don't really like that because I feel like Buddy Hield is more of a shot creator, off the dribble kind of guy. Aaron is more of a catch and shoot player. His ceiling is as high as any catch and shoot player in the league. Like, I've never seen anyone shoot 52% in college and averaging 24%. Like,
Yeah.
like
I was
24
about to
points
say.
per game and 52% from three. I have never seen like another guy shoot like that this consistently. So, I mean, you could go ahead and say like a Klay Thompson, but Klay Thompson is a great two-way player. So I really, unless he develops his defense, I see Duncan Robinson.
I look. There's always a spot for shooters in the league. So if he's on the right team, he could definitely serve a great purpose for that team.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any more
That,
sleepers?
that's that's all I had for sleepers. I only had two for that.
I have last one. I'll say Patrick Williams from Florida State. He came off the bench this year, which alarmed some people, and I understand that. But Patrick Williams is a special player, in my opinion. Special player. He really reminds me of Jonathan Isaac in terms of his floor. Just lengthy, determined shot blocker and defender. I think, other than Okoro, he's the best defender in this draft. He's very athletic. He's so raw, though, so you take a lot of time to develop. He has great IQ, so he'll help side. He'll defend the ball. I think he can defend inside out because he's strong. He'll defend the bigger guys at about 6'8", and then he'll also be able to guard the guards. He's pretty quick. The only problems with him is his offensive game. He has a slow shot. He has no handle, no post skills, no creation ability. And today, there's no spots for most Tony Allens in the league. You need to be able to shoot. This thing that I really like, though, is I really saw that the only offensive skill he had, other than dunking, obviously, because he's athletic, is he has a nice contested mid-range jumper, which is kind of strange. He takes 2 dribbles and pulls up with people in his face, and he makes it consistently.
My one issue with that is that shot's kind of dying out from the league. So if he can't extend that out to the outside, I think that might be an issue for him though.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that when I've seen him shoot those on tape, and I saw the defense and the motor and the fact that he's only 19, I know this high chance this is wrong, but I can see him being the best player in this draft if we go like 10 years from now, just because of the potential.
100%. Late first round pick, you're looking for that raw talent that could potentially star out. Definitely
I really reminds me back when Kawhi Leonard came out of college. Reminds me of that. Kawhi Leonard had no offensive game whatsoever.
And look how he developed his shot. Now he's a great scorer. So
yeah.
Okay. Do you have any busts? What do you think about busts in this draft?
Well, I'm from Israel and you're Jewish as well, so it's hard for me to say this, but I think Deni Avdija is gonna be a bust.
Yeah, me and you've been discussing this for a good amount of time, so I think we both definitely had this one.
Yeah.
What were some flaws you saw in his game?
Okay, let me start with the strengths because I don't want to sound off like a hater on my country because he's gonna be the first lottery pick from Israel ever. Might be the only one for good. He's a good shooter off the catch, and he has serious range. He's an above-average passer. He's very intelligent. He knows how to use his body. He makes great backdoor cuts, and he is superb in transition. He's super fast, and he's a good finisher going to his right hand, and he's patient with his reads sometimes. Keyword sometimes. But his weaknesses, I'll let you start on that.
So some weaknesses I saw he's definitely a lot of turnovers. I don't know if his court vision will be able to translate to the NBA. Because I know we were watching some of his U20 tournament
yes.
Euro championship. He had a lot of turnovers in that. So
about 9.
I don't know how that'll transition into the league. Another one I have is his body language. Something about it just didn't give me the right vibe. He didn't have the strong work ethic that I want to see in a player who still needs to prove himself at the highest level. And then one more thing I have is I think he's too slow. His first step is slow. On top of he playing defense, and I think that he definitely won't be able to develop that. It'll take a little while in the NBA. I
think one of the problems he has is that people now expect him to be kind of like a Luka, and I don't think that's what he is at all. But I don't think he's going to be a bad player. I just don't think that's what he is. I think he should go in the 15 to 20 range in the draft. He can be a Hito Turkoglu type player, like a point forward, and he can be a Mario Hezonja, just a guy that gets you some buckets off the bench. And I think that one of the biggest problems I've seen for him is that he shot 52% from the free throw line when he played for Maccabi Tel Aviv this past season. 52% is unacceptable.
Supposedly as a scorer, yeah, I don't see how that could happen. I don't see how you can do that.
If people say Luka, well, I watched a good amount of EuroLeague back then, and Luka has a very deep bag, as you can see in the league now, and he always had it. The between the legs, behind the backs, being able to size people up, step back, just knowing when to move his body at the right time. If you watch Deni, he always goes to between the legs, and his left hand is very weak, not in dribbling, in finishing around the hoop. So if he's not pulling up for a jumper, you know he's going right. And that would be very easy to defend. And his bag is just not deep. Like, he really does have only like 2 moves he goes to. He would not be a good ISO player, and I don't think people are viewing him as a 3-and-D.
I think the ISO work though is definitely something he can develop. Because I still see there are a lot of raw talent there too.
Oh, so I don't think a bunch of raw talent. Like, if Deni Avdija works his butt off and works on his finishing with his left hand and looks on tape when he's patient how it works and how it doesn't work when he's not patient, he could be a star. It's just that if I have to choose a bust from this draft, someone who's projected to go high and will not live up to the expectations that are asked from him, not be a good player, not live up to his expectations, that's him for me.
No, I 100% agree. I definitely agree with that one.
So
what do you think about? There's a fellow Israeli prospect coming out of the draft named Yamadar. What are your thoughts on him? I heard some news on him.
We have a funny story regarding Yamadar.
I'll let you take this one.
So we go to this camp called Step It Up. It's basically a basketball camp every summer. It's honestly mostly for Jewish kids. That's how it started out, as a way to develop Jewish basketball players. And the camp is just phenomenal. Like, I've improved so much over there, and I've met some great players. And the work ethic that Yogev Burdego, the coach there, and the owner instills in us is unbelievable. And Yamadar went there for like 3 years, and Yogev always talks about him. Yamadar is going to be a hell of a player, and he's projected, actually, he's a second-round pick right now. He's the 53rd pick and going to OKC. And I really like his game. Like, his only weakness, people state, is a jump shot. But in his latest draft workout video, he did shoot 73% from three on about 80 attempts. He's an amazing playmaker. I don't care who else is playmaking. He's top playmaker in this draft, like top 5 for sure. He is top 5 in terms of perimeter defense in this draft. He's just a dog. He will go after you. And his finishing ability is pretty nice as well. So I could see him being a starting point guard in this league for quite some time.
Look, I know I went to camp with him when I was like 5-6 years ago, and I saw that drive he had, the work ethic he had. I didn't think it'd be anything special. I thought he'd be a professional in Israel, but once seeing that and seeing it now, I still see that. I still see that fight in him and that drive in him to keep getting better and better. So I think he'll definitely improve in that aspect.
In the U20 game, when we watched Avdia and him play on the Israeli team, he looked like the better player.
Oh, I 100% agree. 100% agree. He got the MVP was stolen from him.
Yeah, he was robbed. He played amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you want your team to draft? As I know you're a Celtics fan, so who would you like the Celtics to draft?
Look, so as a big Celtics fan, watching them the past couple of years, one thing I've seen them they've been missing is definitely like a scorer off the bench, or like just a shooter. Like they have the talent, like Tatum, Brown, Kemba. They have like the ISO scores. I think they just need someone to be able to kick out to, hit a couple of buckets, come in the game and get a couple of buckets and get out. So I was looking at right now the Celtics. They don't have a draft pick, but I was looking. They have 14, 26, and 30. So I was thinking, if they trade up, get into maybe 10 or high, a little higher, they can go for like Devin Vassell, great shooter from Florida State, is 42%. Or as you mentioned before, Aaron Naismith, 52%. You can't argue with that. And last person I was looking at, who they may be able to get later on in the draft, he dropped in some boards, like Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony, UNC, he was a great scorer at Oak Hill. UNC, pure scorer. He can do all this stuff. So I can definitely see him coming off the bench for a couple of minutes, getting some buckets for them, and that's all they need.
Talking about that same mode of players, like, I'm not a Celtics fan, so I don't know what they need. But if what they need is scoring off the bench, I'd like Desmond Bane. Around like the 26th pick, he might be still available. And I think he's going to be a six-man type player in this league, like Eric Gordon. He's got great drive. Like, he's a hard worker, and he can shoot the lights out, and he has range. So I think he would be great for them.
I saw him at TCU, so I see that one. But I think I lean more to the sharpshooters and Vassell and Naismith. What do you see for the Trailblazers, knowing you're a big Trailblazers guy?
The Trailblazers are in a funky situation because regardless of how you see it, they have the second best point guard in the game if Steph comes back the same. And if Steph doesn't come back the same, they have the best point guard in the game. And the supporting cast is just not it. They have Yusuf Nurkic, top 5 center in the league, in my opinion, but he's the 5th. And they have CJ McCollum. He's great, but I just don't like him aside Lillard anymore. But assuming they don't make any big trades and they don't shake up the core, I would love if they can get Aaron Nesmith. I mean, we need some 3-point shooting. We need someone who can space the floor for Damian Lillard. I can't have Mario Hezonja there anymore. The years of having Evan Turner, we can't have that anymore. Al-Farouq Aminu, great defender, but no spacing. We need someone who can space the floor for Damian Lillard so he can go to work. CJ McCollum is a mid-range shooter. He can shoot the three, but that's not his primary thing. So I would really love if we get a 3-point shooter like Aaron Nesmith. I would love that. I would also really like if we were able to snag Patrick Williams because of his potential. I think he's going to go earlier than pick 16 where we have it. So I'm not sure about that. But Aaron Nesmith or even Devin Vassell would be incredible.
Well, I was thinking, are you thinking more like a Gary Trent type player? Because I know watching Gary Trent this past year.
Gary Trent. Gary Trent is incredible. So you reminded me of another guy, Sadiq Bey. He's a 3-and-D player. He reminds me of Robert Covington. And yeah, if we're able to trade away CJ McCollum for a power forward or something like that, put Sadiq Bey at the 3, run Gary Trent at the 2, I really like the team.
No, that's good. Look, coming up in 2 days, a lot of exciting picks coming up. So I'm definitely excited for this. And another interesting guy I was thinking about, another international player, is Killian Hayes. I saw him play a couple of times. You know, he's quick. I see him as like a little bit like a Fred VanVleet type player. Like he has the drive, quick lefty shot. He has the vision. So I think he can be a pretty solid player coming out of this draft.
Yeah, Killian Hayes is going to be one of those players that people don't realize the team he went to specifically because of all the other big names, but he's going to quietly make some noise and make an old rookie team.
Look, I think that's all I got.
He's gonna come in and be ready to perform right away, and he has a high ceiling. So I like him. I haven't watched him too much just because of the other point guards in this draft, but I think that if a team snags him, they'll be lucky to have him. I think he can be an all-star down the road from what I did see.
Interesting.
That is all I have, man. Thank you for coming on. This was pretty fun.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime, man.
Should be an exciting season.
Yeah, for sure.